Witam Państwa. Ze studia Teleponika mówi Piotr Zworyński. Proszę Państwa, otrzymaliśmy ostatnio trochę korespondencji i trochę zapytań dosyć takich napastliwych, że był Pan Gwiazda w Montrealu i myśmy nie pokazali Pana Gwiazdy i nie zrobiliśmy wywiadu. Proszę Państwa, i ludzie mówią, no teraz wiemy, po czyjej stronie stoi Pan Zwoliński i jego klika. Proszę Państwa, myśmy Pana Gwiazdę zaprosili, tylko Pan Gwiazda odmówił. A w ogóle kto to jest Pan Gwiazda? Pan Gwiazda jest założycielem Solidarności, konkurentem, jakby to powiedzieć, Lecha Wałęsy, o którym sam powiedział, że jest w wywiadzie udzielonym The Gazette, jest za bardzo, jakby to powiedzieć, ugodowy. Proszę Państwa, myśmy zaprosili, Pan Gwiazda nie chciał przyjść, a jakby to powiedzieć, pewni ludzie mówią, że my nie chcieliśmy Pana Gwiazdy zaprosić. W tej chwili Państwo sobie mogą wyciągnąć wnioski na temat różnych ludzi, którzy różnie mówią. Proszę Państwa, wróćmy do spraw poważnych. Dzisiaj mamy w studio prezydenta bardzo poważnych ugrupowania Kanadyjczyków pochodzenia żydowskiego, pana Miltona Winstona z córką. Pan Milton Winston, adwokat, prowadzi jednocześnie z prezydentem telewizji etnicznej Quebec Tech, którą Państwo czasami widzą nad tym. Proszę Państwa, dużo się mówiło o różnych rzeczach i mówi się na temat stosunków polsko-żydowskich. Pan Milton i jego córka byli w Polsce, wrócili z Polski i zaprosiliśmy ich do studia, żeby nam powiedzieć o swoich wrażeniach. Wydaje mi się, że jest to również ciekawe, jak człowiek, który nigdy nie był w Polsce, który całe życie spędził w Kanadzie, jest to tu urodzony, wychowany i zrobił studia, jak on widzi Polskę obecnie i jak on ją tą Polskę odbiera. Oczywiście, że pana Miltona interesowały przede wszystkim, jakby to powiedzieć, sprawy narodu, który w Polsce został wymordowany przez hitlerowców. Welcome to the show. So, excuse me, then I make the little introduction about you and about your trip recently to Poland. And I told them we are quite very curious how the other people, especially Canadian, our people who live with us, and how you can see the Poland, then you know the Poland from the long time. You know what's happened in Poland, and this is the first time, then I think you are gone with your daughter. I think it was a very heavy trip, and can you tell us?
Well, I thank you for having me on the program. It's good. I'm listening to Polish again after 2 weeks in Poland.
Oh.
However, it was an intense experience for me, especially since I'm Jewish, as you know, and therefore there is 1,000 years of history, of Jewish history in Poland, and at the moment there's only 5,000 to 7,000 Jews. There was about 3 million prior to 1939, and when we went, I found it a very difficult problem to understand that in every area we went, the Jews had been deported, massacred, had gone to concentration, and eliminated, exterminated. There's no nice way of saying it, so it's very difficult for me. I learned things, but it isn't only my experience. I come from a different generation. We have Lisa, who's a younger generation, and the experiences are tough. Because, as you know, and I knew the history of Poland, there was a great deal of anti-Semitism in Poland up till 1939. The church was anti-Semitic to the people up till the Nazis came in. There was I would call a right-wing movement in Poland, which is anti-Semitic, but there's nothing you can understand until you see it, because 1939 till the end of the war, there's a big change in Poland, because the destruction of the Jewish community and how it was organized and how it was worked was totally inhuman, and this method was also going to be utilized and was being utilized for the Polish people. My experience made me feel that there has to be an entente again between the Jews basically living outside of Poland and the Polish people and the Polish government, because they went through an experience besides the Jewish experience, and they're just emerging onto the political scene after 40 years. Reconstruction, they just at a point in which I feel they're bursting onto the scene. They just now, where the rest of Europe, most of the Western Europe, have reached that point in 10 years, 15 or 20 years ago,
Yeah.
even further. Poland is just at that point. But I would rather
This is-
ask somebody
yeah.
else's point of view
Because
too.
finally, because you know the Poland, you are born, you when with the last war explodes in Poland, you are born already, or
Yes, I was.
yeah, then you see what's happening in Poland. We have the anti-Semitic and even official anti-Semitism in socialist country in '68, when I think
Right after the Six-Day War,
yeah.
when there was only the remnants, well, there was quite a few thousand, and then the government became officially anti-Semitic,
Yeah.
and
Don't forget
Jewish people had to leave or left, and they were, but it was, they could leave. You see, when you look at what happened within,
Yeah.
at least they could leave, which is a positive thing. I don't mind being deported. I don't like the
social.
concentration camps.
Yeah.
And but I think there's a change. I think that the young Polish people, because there's no Jews, the 5,000 to 7,000, are beginning to understand of the great loss of the Jewish culture, which was Polish Jewish culture, because the Jews who were in Poland were Polish,
You
and
know, we have the best-
and a lot of their energy. A lot of the writers and the poets and the
We
politicians.
have one of the best national poets, Julian Tuwim, was Jew, and the second, Słonimski, was Jew. This is even he take the action against government for the solidarity, and he was Jew. His national poet, and in other great author, Lucian. No, Adolf Rudnicki. His thematic, his books is always about the Jewish life, and he is the great writer in Polish culture. It's impossible to have the Polish culture without these three people that I mentioned.
right now
and we have more.
But it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only look at the past. You can't look at the present and future, because very shortly there'll be no Jewish population
Yeah,
either,
exactly.
and there'll
This
be
is
no
very
more.
sad.
Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people probably in Poland from the old guard who may be very happy and proud about it, but a great deal, from what I learned from the 2 weeks, is a great deal of what the Jewish people did in Poland, who were Polish, and whether they were merchants, whether they were poets, whether they were, built Poland, and there'll be a great loss. But meanwhile, that's my feeling. We brought along
Yeah.
Lisa to give
Lisa.
you a different perspective from a younger person.
Yeah, how about you?
Well, I have to say that I had two different impressions. One was that it was very difficult to go through Poland. Since one of our first missions, the first objectives was to go through Poland and to see Jewish cemeteries, sites or former sites of synagogues, to see what the Jewish people had contributed to Poland, and to see what had happened to them during the Second World War. It was very difficult. I have to be frank, every day when you're going from place to place, and the guides who were excellent. We were very lucky to have a woman named Elizabeth. I can't pronounce her name in Polish. I'm sorry about that. She was excellent. We had day guides, and they made an effort to, before they met with us, to find out the information of the town, of the city, to find out where the synagogues and where the cemeteries were, because of course most of them are no longer in use.
Yeah, it's no longer.
And a lot of them are still overgrown with weeds, and nobody takes care of them. Although there is an effort for some of the larger cemeteries and synagogues in the larger cities to be taken care of. So it was very difficult. The first impression was something that I was very upset. You're feeling full of anger and full of depression, because it's very hard to believe. We come from North America. I was born in Canada. To see over 3.5 million of my people were just destroyed in one country. And so it was very difficult to handle. The second impression was that as we went through Poland, we did see, and we were shown how much Poland was decimated. There were many things that were ruined, you know, that Polish people were also deported, and cities were also destroyed.
Warsaw, it was not city at all. It was destroyed almost at 95%, like the ghetto.
Yes, we had a guide named Marek. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah,
And
Marek, this is the exact name.
he was very good, and he showed us pictures. We went through the Warsaw Ghetto with him, and we saw the memorial. We saw Mila 18, which was the head bunker
Yeah.
for the Warsaw Ghetto, and
Anielewicz, this is the chief of the ghetto uprising. It's 45 years.
yes, it was actually. We do a program, and we do the Jewish program, and we had just finished the last session, the spring session. We had done quite a few programs on the 45th anniversary of the Warsaw Uprising and various different memorial programs. So it was quite an event for me to go to Poland this summer to be able to see some of the sites that I had discussed on our television program.
I have here
No,
some
exactly.
pictures.
In our pioneer program, already 1 year ago, we were talking about one place. The place from the Jew was deported in Warsaw to Treblinka. The Umschlagplatz is Place Rassemblement in French. What's it really?
Resembles?
Yeah,
we did
Rassemblement.
go there, and remember, we made a big effort to get
Yeah.
the Polish government to think about changing the empty area where they had assembled the Jews from the ghetto and elsewhere and deported them to the death camps. And they have a memorial, and we went there and we looked at it. It's a respectable, dignified memorial, and
Because it was before it was not.
no, it wasn't. It had a gas station,
Yeah.
which was unbelievable, and the gas station still is behind. And is behind it, but that's they say it's going to be removed, but I don't know if it is going to be. And remember, they had brought the tracks up to this deportation
Yeah.
center, and in there's the list of names of all the people who were deported there, and I think we have here 2 pictures.
Okay, thank you very much for coming. We can show the picture before and after.
All right, so
It's then finally they make it, because I was afraid, and maybe after our emission we make the effort. We write to the government. We ask some people here to write to the government of Polish in Ottawa.
what you
And they
see.
did.
I'll just mention that I thought it was quite a sensitive memorial. I thought the art that was created for the memorial was very good. It's a brilliant white. The day that it's with stone, and the day that we were there, the sun was shining. So you're almost it's almost as if you're in an empty tomb. And the names on the memorial, which my father mentioned, they're not the names of specific people. They don't have the first name and the last name. They've taken as many names, Polish and Jewish names, as they could gather, and they've put them in squares and they've carved them into the stone. And it's really as a memento, and it's supposed to be for everybody with that name. This is a monument for them.
And you see, the hope I have, it's only 2 weeks. I'm not an expert. I'm always concerned of 2 weeks instant experts. But
But sometimes, this is, instead of to spend 10 years, then you can, now you see probably the most important thing.
what I think has to happen is that the Polish government, and maybe together with the Jewish community or some organizations, begin to put plaques renovate, reconstruct. They are. But, and so that the 1,000 years of history just don't disappear. And I think that, and of course what went on when the war can never disappear. People have to, in fact, remember that human beings can do this to other human beings, and I think that's very important. For instance, at Kielce, is the city of Kielce,
Yeah.
in Poland, what had happened, that Jews, quite a few hundred, had come back, over 500 had come back after the war, that's from the concentration camp, we're talking from death camp, and there was a pogrom.
In Kielce.
At
And
Kielce,
45.
45 people were slaughtered. That Jews were slaughtered by the townspeople, and then the Jews left. And the guide was very reluctant to tell me, but I knew about it, so we pushed him. And the method in which
Are you go to Kielce?
yes, and I asked, is there a plaque? Now there's no plaque. My feeling is, in order for us to bridge
Yeah.
between the old and the new, the Polish government and the Polish people have to come to grips, together with the Jewish people. There's no Jewish people left, 5,000 to 7,000. It isn't enough just to put up a building. You have to come to grips that these things happened, and therefore you have to memorialize it. You have to say, this is shame, what
This
you
is
have to do.
shame
And
for in the
it's
Polish
so this is
nation is the very shame that I can understand what's happened.
But anyway, well, this comes from pre-war attitudes. And I think that, but I have great hope. After going there, I have great hope that this can happen. After all, if you go to Poland and see the rebuilding, rebuilding buildings that instead of putting new buildings up, I mean skyscrapers, they went back to their history and their past. They rebuilt the buildings more or less the same as it was before the Nazis destroyed it, which is the history of Poland.
Yeah, at the
Always
same time,
rebuild,
yeah.
always rebuild. But in the rebuilding, it isn't only physical. There has to be personal rebuilding. 3.5 million Jews can't just disappear and nobody concern themselves. It's up to the Polish government with the people, and I believe the Jewish people, which is happening now. You have to come back. The Jewish people can't just leave 1,000 years disappear. If we don't return, at least for 3 days, 4 days, in a heritage tour, in to see what happened, to meet younger Polish people, to understand, it's like it'll be totally Judenrein forever, because when the 5,000 to 7,000 people leave, there'll be no more, die off, and they're older people, there'll be no more Jews in Poland. And for me, it was essential that there'll be some type of getting together. I'm not certain how. I would think, first of all, to go for 3-4 days before you visit Israel, because I don't know how many Jewish people can go there for a vacation. It's very difficult. I know you're Polish, but I'm saying, but Poland for the Jewish people.
Even though it is a beautiful country. It's a very beautiful country.
It's beautiful. It's a lovely country. And if I was a tourist agent, the price is right. I mean, if I was a person who wasn't Jewish, and I wanted to go with a knapsack to go somewhere, or I wanted to go, meals are so thoroughly inexpensive that for very little money you can spend 2 months in Poland and come back with change. And if you work it right, I'm not going to tell you how to work it. I'm not a TUI, but I just wanted to show some pictures that I have here to explain some of the things. For instance, we first came to the Warsaw Ghetto, and here is a picture we have of the sewer, in which the last survivors of the Warsaw Ghetto were able to escape
By canal.
out of one, and it's the actual sewer, but there's a story attached to that. Can you tell, Lisa?
It was very interesting because the same guide, Marek, who showed us through the ghetto, said he had just for the 45th anniversary memorial services, he had a special group, a special tour group, and it consisted of some Israelis or former Poles who gone to live in Israel, who had survived the war, some from the Warsaw Ghetto, and Polish partisans, and they took a tour together, and they showed him, they took the bus, they directed the driver, and they showed him where these Polish partisans had come to this particular sewer and taken the remainder of the fighters from the Warsaw Ghetto and brought them to the forest. So he said he hadn't even known which sewer it was till this past year they had shown him. So it was very interesting. It was very fascinating.
Well, we went to the bunker where one of the commanders and his group are still buried in the
Yeah.
bunker when they fought the Nazis.
The commander of the ghetto uprising.
Yeah, of the fighters. That was at the end of the uprising. And also there's a beautiful memorial plaque. We have a few pictures here in which we said the memorial.
Yeah, it was erected exactly after the war.
Yeah, and it was a. Said we were very moved there in the concentration camps, and we said a prayer for the dead. It was a feeling that we wanted to, that for those people who fought. But you see, there's other things that Polish people have to come to understand if they want to be a reconciliation of. For instance, during the Warsaw Uprising, the outside Polish underground did very little to help the Jews inside. They couldn't help fight, but the uprising, there was very little. There were very little arms.
Only, because they when I talk to the people, these people say, because we are prepared to fight the German in our, it's something like our neighbor house is burning. I have some kind of water, but I keep for myself. And I think the Polish people can't understand yet, but they start.
That's what I found after 40 years. Since they you see, 40. Well, I'm talking about after the war. After the Nazis were defeated. And you also have to look at Poland too. I found in Poland, first of all, a freedom that I didn't believe was there. A freedom of talking, a freedom of dealing with. Now, I don't speak Polish, so therefore I'm dealing through guides.
But between the
and even the guides and people of freedom. And they didn't say, I'm not talking about which guides or any guides or what have you. They didn't say they were for the Russians. They didn't say that they're communists. But what they want is to build their country. And that type of expression, and especially to young people we met, gives me a hope that we're now on the brink. And the method of even LOT, the potential of leasing American aircraft, because when we went LOT Airlines, there's no movies. There are no movies, and it's an 8.5-hour flight. Now, if you're going into the tourist business, not with me, but the tourist business, you have to have what's going on. So they're planning to lease, if all things work out, from the American. Now, that's a big change. That's Glasnost before Glasnost was in business.
But I would like to ask you, because our time is quite short, and we start to elaborate. I would like to ask you, Lisa, and you consider your Polish trip like it was the good one? You don't regret to go there?
Oh, certainly not. Because there's something in Poland that I couldn't see anywhere else.
And you recommend perhaps to your friends to go to Poland to see the country of the people was.
Certainly, what I can say is that I found the guides were about my generation, maybe a few years older, and they had to go to their parents or to their grandparents to find out information, they were very helpful. To find out information where the synagogues were, where the Jewish places of study were. And if people don't go now, if Jewish people don't go now, then these guides and these people, they won't find out.
I think if the Jewish people go, they would like to ask, and the Polish people have to be prepared. Lisa, thank you very much for coming to my Telepolonica. Winston, thank you very much, and I think it was very it was touching to me, your impression. Thank you very much. Proszę Państwa, mam nadzieję, że zobaczyli i zrozumieli, że te stosunki między naszymi narodami nie są tak łatwe, że pewne rzeczy muszą być powiedziane i nie ma co chować pod kołdrę jakieś tam historie, że my jesteśmy sami niewinni i myśmy nigdy nic nie zrobili i sami święci są wśród nas. To nie jest prawda. Proszę Państwa, dziękuję Państwu bardzo. Ze Studia Teleponika mówi Piotr Zwoliński.
Każdego roku, kierowane prawiecznym instynktem, ptaki wracają do ojczystych gniazd. Wracają do szumiącego morza, wysokich gór, zielonych lasów i jezior. Ty też przyleć do Polski, którą opuściłeś tak dawno. Przyleć polskimi liniami lotniczymi LOT. Tylko kilka godzin lotu, jedyne bezpośrednie połączenie Montreal-Warszawa.
Alpha Video and Film, professional broadcast quality transfers from PAL and SECAM to American Standard Systems. For all video and film transfer needs, Telepolonica uses Alpha Video services for 3 good reasons: quality, price, and fast delivery. If it's good enough for us, it will certainly be good for you. Alpha Video. See the address in the yellow pages.
Przy 85 Mount Royal, blisko skrzyżowania z Park Avenue, znajduje się apteka Singer's Pharmacy, która specjalizuje się w wysyłce lekarstw do Polski.
I've been sending medicine overseas for many years now. I send to Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania, Albania, and many other countries. If you receive a letter from a relative overseas requesting a medicine, whether the letter is accompanied with a prescription or not, I can help you. If the medicine is not available in Canada, it's not a problem. I have connections in England, Switzerland, and Germany.
Więc recepta nie jest konieczna. Wystarczy nazwa leku. Singer Pharmacy, 85 Montreal West. Lekarstwa z Kanady i z Europy Zachodniej do Polski.
Okazje według całkowicie polskich receptur. Wesela, chrzciny, komunie oraz inne uroczystości zawsze służymy Państwu świeżymi wypiekami. Polecamy również wybór znakomitych wyrobów garmażeryjnych. Zapraszamy Państwa we wszystkie dni tygodnia, oprócz poniedziałków, do naszego sklepu, który mieści się niedaleko skrzyżowania ulic Frontenac i Ontario. Łatwy dojazd metrem do stacji Frontenac.